See if this works here.
It looks like it's there.
It's like there's a little bit of a delay. Let me know if anyone can see us or hear us here. Is it going there? Oh yeah, there should be an ad. I think for us here. Okay. Perfect. Welcome everyone. We'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. Get comfortable. It'll be just a couple minutes here. First time we have ever done a YouTube live. So we are at the shop. We just closed with customers. As many of you probably know, it was a quiet day here. We have had crazy amounts of snow. What did we say earlier in the last 7 days? 18 to 24 inches?
18 to 24, I think.
Okay. So we've got a lot of snow, ice, and cold. It is currently
bitter.
11 degrees here in Western Michigan. So can I just get a thumbs up in the chat that you guys can hear us? Okay. I just want to make sure everyone can hear us. Again, this is the first time we've ever done a YouTube live. So we're going to see how this goes. So I just want a thumbs up. I saw a heart. It's a heart. I guess that works. Cool. Awesome. This isn't the other software that we use. It usually has like a 10-second delay. So the fact that this is only a couple seconds is actually really good. So it is 5:01. Perfect. I'm going to take a little sip of my drink, then we're going to get started. So just 1 second here, guys.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks everyone for jumping in the chat, letting us know. We have another computer going, so we're double checking. So thank you all.
All right, we're going to get started here. First of all, thank you all for being here tonight. This is going to be fun. So usually if you guys follow our YouTube channel, I'm posting stuff every week. So we have a podcast. So we have a podcast that's out on all the podcast platforms, but we do a video version and we post it to YouTube every Wednesday. It's not live because that would be too hectic. So we post that every Wednesday as well as a podcast. Chad's in a few of those, but most people know Chad from inside of our inner circle. Real quick, who here, thumbs up for who here is in the inner circle with us? That's what I want to know. So for any of you guys that don't know, we have the inner circle is our community that we have through Candle Business Pro, where we're all just growing our businesses together. So, okay, I'm seeing people here. Okay, yep, I see. Okay. Aaron, Elaine, several of you guys are here tonight. Awesome. So I'm glad that you guys are all here. So that's where most people know Chad from, because Chad's always there doing some of the workshops with us and also does our family dinner. We do office hours every single week. So that's like every Tuesday we go live inside of our membership. So you guys can obviously find out more about that just at the Candle Business Pro website. We'd love to have you. But today is all, that's all business focused. But today, we're going to talk actual candle making because we never get into this. No, so for you guys that don't, you guys do know, we have our candle making course. And so many of you guys have probably already taken our candle making course. But we never get to, we have our multiple shops and we do tons of wholesale, but we don't get to just sit here and actually have fun making candles. So going through kind of our process, sometimes we forget about the little steps that like we share when we're answering questions. And I thought, hey, let's just get together and make some candles today. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to dive into our candle making now. For those that have made candles before, there's going to be a process where we need to let the wax cool. After we mix in our fragrance oil, we're going to let the wax cool for a moment. So stick around for that, which isn't going to be very long. And we're going to go on a tour around the shop. We're going to show you our different candle collections and kind of talk about what they are and why we make those. We try to do everything with a purpose. There's a reason behind most everything that we do. We do a lot of data crunching. In fact, those of you that are in the inner circle, this Thursday's workshop is all about the data-driven marketing that we do. Everything we do is for a reason, and we have the numbers to back it up. So we're going to go show you all of our stuff in the store too, and just kind of let you see. And we might show you some sneak peeks of like right here in front of me down below. There's about 160 oils down there. So we might give you a sneak peek at some other areas. Yeah, a lot going on here. So first of all, this is our production space. So as far as our production space goes, we use workbenches. I highly recommend using workbenches that have a wooden top. You'll see here in front of us that we're going to make on today for this demonstration. We have a stainless steel table. And these are totally fine to use. We've had this now for 4 years.
Since we started.
Since we started, right? It was a piece of furniture that we bought when we first started making candles at home, and we still use it here. But if you are going to go out and get something, if you can find something with like a wooden top, something that's really thick, it really helps with the curing process, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But
they're also level, whereas this you might get it level set, but the actual top like kind of bows in, so they're not exactly level, and they're cold.
And they're cold. They're cold, so they make the candle cure quicker than maybe you want. Which, when you're dealing with soy, like what we do for about 80% of our candles, that's what's going to cause some adhesion issues and some sinkholes and stuff. But we still use it. It's great. It's a good setup for us in the space that we have. But everything we bought after that, what we use in our other shops, are all like wooden tops. You can buy these from any of the shops. Actually, you know what? On Sam's Club, they had a really good deal where they're not in the store, but you order online and they're there the next day or whatever, for like $200. So that's the direction I would go if you were asking my opinion on that. So showing you a little bit of the space here behind us. We are big fans of 2Auto. We use 2Auto melters. We're affiliates for them. I do some consulting work for them as well on some of the product development for them. In fact, in the show notes below, if you guys need a melter at some point, there's always an additional discount that you can use, but that's not what this is about. Over here is our big melter. So this melter here is because this is store number one. So we have multiple stores. This is store one. This is where we do the majority of our production out of. All of our wholesale orders, all of our shipping, all come out of this location. So this guy's always going every day. This is 165 pounds, I believe.
Overkill.
It's overkill. It's not. I mean, 165 pounds. That's 310 candles if it's 8-ounce candles if it's filled up all the way. And usually you're not producing that much in the amount of time, so you could just always keep more wax. I would highly recommend going with something like this, especially this is what we have in all of our other shops now, is these. Also doing candle pouring parties, mobile. These are really easy to fit behind the passenger seat of your car, and it stands up. I would recommend these over a Digiboil. We have a Digiboil actually, but that's where we started with, was a Digiboil.
Yeah.
But it always airs out and things like that. It's made for beer brewing, not for candle making. So it's a little different in how it works. But so that's kind of our setup here. Obviously down below, we have our printers and we have all of our wax over there. So we use two different kinds of wax. We use a 464, which is just a Golden Brands soy wax, and that's what we started with. And still to this day, we do 80% of our candles with that. We do have a coconut soy that we also use for some different options, right? It's more expensive than soy. 464, it's not going to have that strong scent throw. So it's not going to be a Bath and Body Works candle. It's not going to be a Yankee candle, but our customers love it. Mm-hmm. The reason we stick with a soy wax candle, I like it. I like a strong candle. Chad does not. Ultimately, the reason why we stick with it is our customers that come in, they say, hey, what are your candles made out of? And we say soy, or they'll just say, are your candles made with soy wax? It doesn't matter the reason behind why they want soy over something else, and we don't get into that debate on what's this or that. We're in the business of making and selling candles. People want soy candles. We're making them soy candles. So we've stuck with that for now 80% of our candles. Again, we do the coconut soy blends. I like those. They're a little stronger. It's a little prettier. They're smoother. They don't have the sinkholes and things. But we're going to talk about all of that and how we get through it. It's very easy. So that's the wax that we use. And again, we have, literally, I'll show you guys once I take this camera off the tripod in a little bit, hundreds of oils. And who's our go-to? If you guys, I'm sure most of you that are here have downloaded our free supply list of all of the vendors that we use, but who are we using right now as far as oils go?
So, I mean, Candle Science is definitely our biggest. It's kind of where we started, so we've stuck with them. We do branch out, and we use Midwest and Flaming Candle. I know they've had their issues, but they have definitely gotten better on shipping, and they're closer to us now, which is even better. It's super quick to get here when they get it processed. And then we lean into some smaller, like Hive and Honey. She's got some great oils. Simbi, I am a huge fan of Simbi oils. They are a little more elevated cost-wise, so that's
expensive.
Expensive, yes. Elevated and scent-wise, yeah. and they're more expensive, yes. Yeah. But they are very, very good oils, and they're unique. I think I just ordered some more samples from her, and got an oil that we're going to use in our next candle of the month. So that's probably it. We work with AFI a little bit, but that's on more of a like
Custom
mass,
ones
yeah,
that they do for
production
us.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
They do have small bottles that you can definitely buy, and their oils have been good so far. Makesy, of course, we use a few of their oils. It was kind of Candle Science, Flaming Candle that we started with, and then Makesy, and now we've got these additional that keep coming up. So
yeah. We're not partial. If it's a good scent,
yeah.
and if we can get it for a decent price, and if it performs well for us, then that's kind of what we go with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny we talk about AFI because that's what
when
we first started. They sent us that. That's their
they
like
have a pretty entertaining calendar that they send out too.
All right, so let's dive in to the simple steps. Again, this is a really high overview of candle making. Obviously, actually, I should probably share with you all now while you are here, and I'll probably talk about this in a little bit. We are finally going to do another candle making boot camp. We do this so 2 years ago, we did it 5 times. Last year, because we're busy, we did it 3 times. This year, we might be able to do it twice. So we're going to do it. It starts a week from today, right? February 1st. It starts a week from today. So if you want to hop in on that, we always limit how many people can come in just because we do we do lives every single week to help you go through the course. Obviously, we have the candle making course, but the boot camp is the same materials and the same curriculum, but we meet every single week to go over where we're at. So that is going on sale right after this. If you want to grab one of those seats, you totally can. candlebusinesspro.com /bootcamp. You can see that. I'll drop links in here as well. But just heads up on that. This is going to be a higher overview of candle making. Obviously, we can't do everything within like an hour's time, obviously. Yeah, just letting you know that's going on. So, okay. So first thing, Chad, I'm letting Chad take over. He is.
This is my part of the business.
This is his thing. Like he is so good at this, and he teaches a little bit better than I do. A lot better than I do when it comes to candle making.
Wow.
So this is all you. I'm going to get out of your way, and I will move the camera around as needed. Okay. So or maybe I'll hang out with some of you all in the chat too.
Yeah, there you go. I see a great chat's going on, so we'll have to jump in there. But so the first step is going to be coming up with your recipe, whether it's 1, 5 oils, whatever you're going to do. We then do a production sheet. So we have one of our top sellers that we're going to make today. So I have the production sheet for that, just so I can measure everything right. Like I've got this stuff memorized, but I need some sheet here to kind of make sure I do it right. So I've got that. We have a calculator in Candle Business Pro that we use every time we make candles. We just put that calculation then into an actual production sheet to print off so that we can track everything, both digital and get amounts right. So again, we're going to do one of our top sellers. So it has 2 oils in it. We're just going to kind of go through the process here and probably kind of chime in with some ideas and stuff. But as far as supplies go, we've got a small scale. Make sure this doesn't fall out and crash. A small scale that we use for fragrance oils. And then we have our little resin cup. You can get these anywhere. Amazon, I think, is where we originally got them.
And there's the silicone,
silicone,
silicone that we use for our measuring.
And then we've got obviously our oils. We have a timer so that we can time how long we're stirring it. That can vary on your wax and stuff, but with the soy wax, we want to make sure we time what we're doing. We have a lovely thermometer. I keep wanting to look down here. Camera's there. A thermometer here. These are actually like meat thermometers, but I've loved how accurate they've been. I've used them for food and now candle making for 4 years, or 5 years with all the testing. But then we have our big pitcher because we're going to make a batch of 6. Our spatula, the candles here, and then we have our Wicks and Wicks stickers. We also wanted to kind of talk about these lovely handy tools that are out there. So we bought this thinking we were going to be able to use it for all of our candles and that it was going to make life easier. For some vessels it can, but you just take the wick and stick it in there and it kind of is a magnet. So it just sits to it. And then you can just push it in. It would make life easier if vessels weren't slightly different. So we use the Libby jars and these are all different. So this thing doesn't really work, and they're not cheap.
Yeah, this is like a $45 waste. So we recommend trial and error.
Yes.
actually show your way of, we got to wick this up, right? We got to, so we're going to
gonna
wick all this stuff
from the very beginning, but we wanted to give a little pointer and hopefully save you a few dollars.
Yeah, it was one of those things when we first started, we were like, oh, this is going to make life easy. I know every single one of you, 90% of you struggled with centering your wicks when you first started, or if you haven't started yet, you're going to struggle, and you're going to go and spend days and weeks on the internet looking for something to help you out. There are some like centering of the wicks at the top things out there. I know there's like Nordic or Norden candle supply. They make it to where you can center the wicks properly, but you got to center the wick in the right spot in the glass. That's really important. We can almost do it with our eyes closed now, really. But it's just a matter of just going slow with it. Yes. And then do you flip yours over still?
I mean, it just depends, but there are some like wooden, I know a couple of makers out there, like they make wooden pieces that you drop in the glass, and then that can kind of help center the wick in there too. So we had that for a 3-wick candle that we did at one point, and it was actually helpful. But vessels can vary, so just always be double checking. But so we have our little wick stickers. So I just throw these on, and then it just really depends. Sometimes I'll just kind of look down from the top and go ahead and just eyeball it and center it. This is probably not going to really show through, but you can do that, or the way that he does it, and I'll do it occasionally, is just kind of, if it's clear, you can just flip it over.
If it's clear, instead of pushing down, I flip it over, because then I can really see right where the center is before I actually let it stick. One of the things that you could do, because you know how the wicks are kind of, they're kind of curved like that, you can use like a metal straw, right? Like a drinking straw, those metal ones. Sticking this inside of a metal straw and then doing it can really help. The key, and we talk more about this in the course when we talk about going through like all the troubles that you may have. The key is when you are pushing down on this. So you should be able to hold your glass by the wick, just like this. You should be able to hold by the wick and it still stick. So you should always push down on it. I see people in a lot of the groups online and things say, hey, like I poured the wax in there and then the wick popped off, right? The reason for that, there's 2 reasons for it. One is your wax is way too hot. You poured way too hot into here, so it loosened up the adhesion and then it pops off, it loosens up. Or you didn't push down hard enough on there. And that can be you not pushing down, or I guess the third reason actually is depending on the vessel. There are a lot of ceramic vessels that, not just ceramic, but different materials, where the bottom kind of bows up so it's not flat. Those you really got to make sure you have good adhesion on, because if it's not adhered all the way around on that, then as soon as that hot wax gets underneath it, it loosens it and pops up. It happened to us on these the modern ceramics from Candle Science. We love Candle Science. We love that vessel, but they're ceramic, right? So they're not, they're not completely flat. So you really got to make sure you're pushing down. But this is the test, right? You should be able to hold your glass up by the wick. Then you've got a secure thing. You've got a secure wick there.
Yeah. One other thing, like for the coconut soy that we use, that you do pour hot. Yeah. So I always wait to actually do the wick centering from the top, because you're pulling on that wick. Even if you have a good adhesion, it's pretty hot. So it could just pop that wick right off. So I usually let it sit a few before I go ahead and center the wick from the top. Just a little tidbit on the ones you pour hotter. For the soy wax, we poured a little cooler. So these should be pretty good. We'll set them right away. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and do a quick little set here. So I've got this again with the 2 oils. Got my calculations on my sheet here. So I'm just going to do these real quick.
The reason he's using this separate scale, so this scale that he's using, that he showed, we use another scale here too, which is like a larger scale. You guys probably all see this here. This is like your standard, $10, $12 scale on Amazon. It's on our supply list, but you can get one anywhere. And this is what we use for all of the wax, and it just does like pounds and ounces, or grams, of course. We use this scale isn't going to measure like to the third decimal, like where it's very precise, where this little one will. And when we're talking about oil and only pouring, you know, a couple ounces worth, we want to be really specific. And so that's why we have two different scales. It's not super necessary to get that, but we like to be very consistent with our numbers and the data and all of that.
Yes.
So these scales are like $20 or so. They're on that list.
Yeah. They're usually on sale, but they are really nice, especially when you get into, if you want to do some like custom blending, you know, you can get into where you have 6 oils and you're going to need to go out a few decimal points, and that only goes out 1. Of course, there's price scales you can find that do both, so you wouldn't have to have 2 scales. I always just find this is easy enough with the small silicone thing, and I've just used it since we started and it's worked, so why change it? All right, so we've got our oil ready to go. So I'm gonna get the wax next. Again, I'll just reference how much to get based on our calculation. One thing about the scales, or not scales, the melters is if you're able to elevate it so you can just get your pitcher right underneath. For this one, this thing's heavy. It's not gonna be elevated anymore. Or walking around and all that to turn it and have it lower, but that could be in your production space. We have staff and dealing with all that, so we want to keep it safe. With these lovely 2-auto ones, you can do this. We usually just pull this forward if we're producing, and we'll use a stool to kind of do that. In our other store, we've got it elevated, so it's just easy to pour right from it. But this one, I'm going to go through and get some wax out of here. This big old filter.
So the first thing we always do is any day we're pouring, we want to get the wax melting, right? Right away. A trick for you that we have been doing now for 3.5 years. It took us quite a while, especially before we got into this. So before, if you guys don't know the backstory on us a little bit, before we got into this, we were just both working 9 to 5s. This was kind of a hobby that Chad really kind of got into. We loved candles so much during kind of the COVID time. We moved up here to Michigan, and he hated his 9 to 5 job. So it was like, I want to get out of this. What can I do? And I was like, let's try this candle thing again. So we went all in. It took us like 2.5 months from like starting. We did this every single day. I'm talking weekends, long days, every single day, perfecting it and then working on branding and all of that to go. So what would happen is we'd be out running errands, we'd be working or something, and they'd be like, you know, we need to make candles. And then it's like, oh shoot, we got to turn the melter on. It takes like an hour for the wax to melt. So all of our melters that we have on the outlets are on smart outlets now. So they're plugged into smart outlets so that we can control them from our phone. And so we can do that from anywhere. So like we'd be out at dinner or we'd be at the grocery store, like, let's make candles tonight. Okay, cool. Let me turn the melter on. So you could turn it on. It was also a good safety thing for whenever we left the house, because I remember growing up when it was like, oh, did we forget to unplug the iron or the curling iron or something, right? We have to turn around and go back home. So we keep all of those on smart plugs. What's fantastic is now, like, because like just to control payroll in our shops and things, like we open up at 10 o'clock and our staff is here like 5 minutes before we open, right? But they're on smart outlets, so they turn on an hour prior. And then they automatically turn off at night, so we never have to forget about that. So just something, kind of a peace of mind that you can do that. And you can have it to where they even if it's not off, or if it's whether it's on or off, they automatically cut off at say 8 p.m. or something for you. So just a trick for you. You can grab those on Amazon for less than $10 each now. So
yeah, they're super easy. The routines are all set up. You can obviously change those and do what you need, but they're great. Yeah, it's awesome.
So you got your wax.
Yes.
Was melted to the right temperature that you wanted it to be at.
Yes, I forgot to mention that when I was over there. So yeah, the wax melter is set to a certain temp. So we have, based on the wax that you're using. So we have the 464, then we have the coconut soy, and then we also use for wax melts a 494. The 464 and 494 are the same temps, but it's really all based on the wax that you're using. So definitely pay attention to what the manufacturer or supplier recommends for temperatures for both heating and when you go to add your oil, and then cooling to put it in the jar. Sometimes they don't have all of that information, but or not all the suppliers have that information, but definitely follow what their recommendations are. For soy wax, we're going to pour a little cooler, but we're pour hot to mix in the oil and then let it cool before we pour it in the jars. But so I measure that all out over there, and then I always just take at least like 30 seconds to slowly pour the oil in so that we're not cooling the wax too fast. And then we always stir for a couple minutes just to give it a real good mix. So timer is always set on a default, and
we always stir for what, 2 minutes usually?
2 minutes, yeah. I give an additional 30 seconds just because we have staff helping us out make stuff. So I want to make sure that they're doing it right and not just pouring it all in there. So I always tell them to take 30 seconds to slowly pour it in and keep mixing, and then stir it the additional 2. But that's just, you don't have to do that yourself if you're watching.
Yeah, like there's the other thing that you're going to learn just on your candle making journey. There's 3 temperatures that you want. You want a heat your wax to X temperature. You want add your oil to that wax temperature, and then you want pour your wax into your vessel temperature. So there's 3 different temperatures. So that's why if you see some people that say this temperature and then that temperature, and make sure that what you're following or what advice you're getting is for the actual one of those 3 temperatures, right? So again, there's what temperature do you heat your wax to? And then at what temperature do you add your oil into that wax? And then what temperature are you pouring that wax into your vessel? So we dive into that, and we can't go through every single wax right now. Of course, we do all that in our candle making course or boot camp, but every wax is going to be different, and some of them don't need that extensive time on cooling down. For instance, that's one of the things, like with coconut soy, is fantastic. Like you could just go ahead and pour it afterwards. You're not going to have those adhesion issues like 464 does. But yeah, and then once we stir it up, and then in a moment before we pour it into the actual vessels, we'll give it another really, really good stir, because if it's too hot, your oil and your wax is going to separate. So just keep that in mind.
Or if it's too cool.
Or it's too cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to want to give it some really good blends throughout.
Yeah. Temperatures are always super important. Stirring is important. We'll come back and check it we'll go and tour the store and do something fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let's go tour the store
we'll come back
while this
to
is cooling.
We'll temp it before we pour it, but I had something else to say.
I probably interrupted you.
No.
You're good?
We're good.
Okay, so while this is cooling down right now, let's just go on a tour of the shop. We'll show you a few of our collections and things like that here, because right now we're in the back of the store. So we're going to show you the front of the store. And then this is, obviously, if you guys have more questions, we'll be able to answer here at the end. And then by the time we're done, when we get back here, hopefully this will be cool to the temperature that we actually want to pour into the vessels. And then we're going to show you what we do, some of the things. Like, so right behind us here, we poured candles earlier today. When I say we, like our amazing manager here at the store did. And she left them just how she poured them. So we're going to show you like the sinkholes and the adhesion and all of that. And then we'll get that fixed to show you how we go about fixing all of that. So we're just going to take this little break and go on a tour.
I do remember what I was going to say. Since we're here, the wax melter is what I'm going to say. So you'll have to learn how your wax melter heats. They should be pretty consistent, but we always have our wax melter a little bit warmer, like a couple of degrees, just to account for the time that it takes you to get the oil or the wax out and into your pitcher. So, you have a couple of degrees to play with there. I'm always very picky about us adding the wax at the correct temperature. I mean, you have a couple of degrees leeway, but learn your melter, but maybe go a couple of degrees warmer just to give yourself that time.
It's super important, because if you add your oil in at 190 degrees and then at 180 degrees and try testing the difference, like there'll be a difference. And especially depending on the wax that you're using, there could be a big difference in that. So it's just dialing it in. That's something that would just, with time, but or just depending on what makers you kind of trust and surround yourself with, and saying, hey, what are those 3 temperatures that you're using, would be basically for that. So all right, let's go and take a look at this store. And we're just going to show you a few things. He's going to kind of, don't trip on nothing. We did not set this up, everyone. We did not set this up ahead of time. So you are coming into, we're coming up to the front. Opened up others since then. This is our YouTube videos. We do a lot of photo taking right here, because this is like the stuff is. You want to throw that? You can just totally throw that up
Oh,
here if
yeah.
you want.
Good
If you
call.
want to get in there. So we'll just show you kind of some of the collections that we have here. What we're pouring now is from our classic collection. So when you start your candle business, you want to start with your classics, right? So starting with seasonals is always tough because people aren't going to understand what your brand is actually going to be until you get into seasons like now, where we're talking about like your year-round brand. What is your classic collection, timeless collection, whatever you want to call it, but what is your brand? We started with 10 cents. We would always recommend probably starting with 6 instead of 10. We talk about this in the inner circle all the time. Don't overdo it. 6 would be plenty. For us, and this is just our complete opinion based on how shoppers are that we experience, but also just through others that we work with on their candle businesses. We would start over, if we started all over again, we would have 6 cents. We would do 2 citrus because they are by far the best selling candles for us. Both of our number one, number 2 are citrus candles. Then we would have that kind of masculine woodsy candle, that spa, that sandalwood type of blend.
Yeah.
And then a floral, but not like that lilac floral, not that, whoa, that's floral. Something that most people would still like, a lavender based blend, or a lavender is fantastic. Now, Chad takes pride in the creative side of candle making. All of our candles are blends. So everything that we do is all our own custom blends that Chad's come up with. That's kind of how we continue to have fun in doing that. But you don't have to do that. There are so many really good oils like straight out of the bottle. So don't feel like you have to do that. Like if you see him mixing the oils and things back there, like that's because we want to do that, right? We want to have something unique. But as far as your customers, like when your customers buy your candle, they don't know it doesn't create more value when the customers don't know if your own special proprietary blend or not. And honestly, they probably don't care. They just want a good smelling candle. Okay. 2 citrus, masculine, spa-like, that floral. And that last one is just gonna be that fun one that you like, that it's not going to be your best seller, but something that's just good. For us, it's our mint verbatim eucalyptus. You know, that green one from Bath and Body Works that's been around for 30 years, like that type of scent I wanted to recreate. He did a pretty good job with that. So, and everyone likes like a fresh mint eucalyptus. It's not for everyone, but we still sell quite a bit of it. It's our peace of mind candle. So that's our first collection. Here is our classic collection. Do you want to show the next one there?
Oh no, I'll let you do those because that was your idea.
You do want to.
We can do this. Oh no, let me do Auroras because these are my favorite. So these are so we have 6 in this collection. As we said, if we started over, we would do 6. So we did do an additional collection that we did 6, and these are all more kind of elevated, kind of hotel vacation destination inspired. Like this one's a Santal 33 dupe that I did. This one's very vacation to me. So we use our virgin coconut soy in this one. So we wanted to do something that was elevated both in scent and in the offering with the coconut soy. We wanted them to burn strong, pretty consistent. So we went with a coconut soy for these. We just did really nice vessels. And then these have a lid on them that's branded. We really wanted to take these up a notch. So we put them in boxes. And this one was really fun for me because it was something different than what we usually do. We wanted to see if we could hit that market, and they were just fun. They took about 6 months to do, but
took a little longer.
They were fun.
Yeah.
Testing was a lot harder with this because it was the first time we had used coconut soy. So it was really kind of learning wicking over again because there are different wicks for soy and coconut soy. A couple of the wicks can go for both, but I ended up settling on one that's definitely more for coconut soy. But these are really nice to come in a box. Again, they're a little more elevated scent-wise and design-wise. I just wanted to keep them very simple. And they were fun to name. I wanted to really go different with these. So we named them kind of based on the scent, but little unique names and stuff. So they've resonated really well. They do really well for us. So
just so you guys just cost wise and stuff, because one of the things that I know a lot of people getting into a candle business, we don't necessarily know what people are going to spend on our products, right? And I'm a big proponent of don't sell yourself short. We started out at markets, right? We started out at markets. you know, $26 is what we sell these for. We haven't raised our prices, but they've never been less than that. They start at $26. This is a 10-ounce candle Libby jar. It costs us $5.75, $6 to make. So we're always getting 4X. Again, this is more on the business side. We do a ton of discussing about this in the inner circle, but we wanted something more elevated. So that's a $26 candle. That's a $42 candle that he was just showing you there. So just letting you know, like, you can make sure you're charging your worth on your candles there. So what's the next collection that you?
I would do duos.
Yeah. So Chad gets to create all of our stuff, but I said I want to do a line. So I did a line. We had these custom matte black vessels done for us, and then it says a simple name on it. Let me see here, like this one here. So these are all very simple named as well. We call them duos because they're 2 cents, right? It's probably not even coming through very well. This is our bergamot and eucalyptus, right? So we just blend 2 cents together. That's the name of the candle, and it just made it really easy. People knew exactly what they were getting. Also, it really ties in well for the SEO and driving traffic to our business. Most everything else has fun names to it, but we also wanted to just target the business side of, hey, this is a bergamot and eucalyptus candle. When someone is searching online for that, we are going to rank. For instance, if you were to look, if you just go to Google and you search eucalyptus scented candles, we're going to be on the first page because of that. So we dive into this up in the inner circle. We need to get back to the candle making, but I am proud of this line. It leans a little bit more. It's all black. We did it in just custom boxes. That has our branding on it. Quick tip, if you want to get packaging, because packaging does cost a lot of money, get it without any scent names on there, just your brand on there. So we have our branding on the top and the sides. We have a give back cause on one side, and then we talk about only the good stuff in our candles. And we put the scent on a little sticker on the bottom. That's how you can buy a bunch of boxes in bulk, is don't have the scent name printed on there. Okay. Back to you.
Do we want to keep going over these?
We can just talk about just what else you've done. So the Sweet Memories collection is like the what? Gourmand?
These are gourmands. They're we knew once we had the storefront that we were kind of missing a market. With our 10 in our timeless collection, they're the citrus. They're not very sweet. Our sugar lemon is the sweetest one because it has a little bit of vanilla in it. So we leaned into that whole like nostalgic sweet feeling that people really desire. Not my personal favorite, but we did do 8 of those scents because we wanted to kind of hit every foodie category. So yeah, those do well for us. I think style-wise, they are simple but relatable, and yeah, everyone seems to enjoy them.
Yeah, we had when we opened up. So when we got started, we sold online to our friends and family. We built a website, we sold to them, and then we went right into wholesale. So we're in like 160 locations now. We're in the international airport, and then we're also in Rally House, which is like a national sporting apparel store. Kind of weird, but they have like a local thing, and we do these locality-based candles, all different cities across the country. So we're in like 45 of those stores. But when we first, so we went into wholesale, then we did markets, and then we decided just to go all in. Let's just open up a store. And people coming in were asking for stuff that we just didn't really think to make. And one of the things was, oh, do you have a vanilla candle? And then, oh, do you have a cinnamon candle? And we're like, what? Like, no, like that's like in my mind kind of old school, right? But it's not like, and so that's one of the reasons we did the Sweet Memories, because it gave us a reason to have vanilla candle. There's one that's vanilla buttercream. That's amazing. And then there's like iced cinnamon roll, right? It was able to do like a cinnamon blend that he did. And so you can once you have a core collection, like that's, 70% of our sales come out of this collection, probably maybe 60 now because we keep adding on more things, but at least 60% come out of that classic collection. You have to establish a brand that you're known for. Everyone knows our sugar lemon candle. It is our #1 seller every single year. And then our Hello Sunshine is right behind it. Like those are what we're known for. If people come back in, those are the ones that if someone comes in and is like, hey, I'm looking for a gift, we just go grab those and say, hey, you're going to like these. That's what we're known for, is our classic collection. But then you can start having fun afterwards. I always recommend, don't start going too wild at first. If you were to start your business in say September, October, November, I wouldn't even think about holiday scents. I would go and put all of my focus into getting a solid foundation first, because if you can't sell that, it's going to be hard to go and sell the seasonal things the rest of the time. So really focus on that. So
yeah, and just another little tidbit, because we kind of found this out. You'll have customers scents like citronella or a lilac or something like that. Like, don't, unless you get, I don't know, a dozen requests for it, like, don't invest in all of the time and testing just to sell a candle or a couple of candles. We've done that a couple of times. Just so a little tidbit to not try to please everyone.
We've done that, and it ends up costing you, because you spend $30 for a bottle of incense and you sell one candle for $26. Now you're out the rest of that money, because no one else is going to come and ask you for an incense candle. And then like you're also out the time, effort, and energy. And it's like, no, like this is what our brand is, and just focus on your customer and your messaging and stuff like that. Not trying to sell the inner circle, but like we have a workshop every month. People here that's here today can talk about what we do in there. We have branding workshops of how we do branding. There's 7 stages of that. And then when it comes like website building and all that. So I think our
should be good.
Is probably getting cool.
Yeah.
You want to carry that, because I'll probably break it. No, let's go this way. So we can just super quick while we're, so we do also to our customers here, candle pouring. So we do lots of candle pouring, and then to teach you how that we do it. But so these are all the different stuff. So like these are all like the Making vessels that we have here, Candle Science, a bunch of different ones. We're getting a lot from Hive and Honey now. So you can just kind of see all the different things we have going on. These are freaking so cool. Excuse my
They've
language.
been super popular.
These have been so popular right now. These Hive and Honey.
Yes.
Shout out to Hive and Honey for these. Do really well with those. Yeah, so all kinds of stuff. You wouldn't think that you can sell skulls all the time. We sell so many of these still. So I'm not saying to add it to your collection. I'm just saying if you were to make candles, something that we sell. Actually, in our group today, Lisa from our inner circle, I don't know if you're here tonight or not. You were asking earlier about this. You posted inside of our Facebook group, the Candle Business Pro Facebook group, asking how to wick this. And I said, definitely, we go with a single wick on this. Chad, do you know what this wick size is?
CD18.
CD18 wick. If you are here tonight, we use a CD18 wick for this, and we single wick this as well. Okay, let's get back to candle making and go from there. I will let you go first. Here, so you set that up correctly. Oh yeah,
maybe.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, let's do a temp check and see if we are good to pour.
Is this good here?
I think so.
Yeah, perfect.
Sweet. We are good to go. All right, so
if you're doing 464 soy, we always recommend getting under 140 degrees. That's what we're waiting on. To get under 140. It's going to help with adhesion issues. Can I talk about that while you're pouring? I know you're pouring. So one of the big things that we all struggle with is adhesion and wet spots, right? So a wet spot is when the wax pulls back from the glass, right? And there's a lot of different ways of trying to prevent that. Some people will, they'll put them in the oven. They'll take the heat gun to them, right? Because essentially you are trying to get the glass and the wax out of the pitcher to be kind of as close to the same temp as possible, right? Meaning like room temperature 70 degrees. So we're trying to get the wax down pretty cool. So we always like to go for under 140. What happens is if you pour it right at 100 and say 80 degrees or something, right? It's kind of like touching a hot stove where you jump back real quick. It's kind of like what your wax is doing to the glass, because the glass is so cold. So it shrinks, because with soy wax, it's going to based on the temperatures. But don't get too caught up in wet spots. And the reason for that is as soon as the temperature fluctuates, that wax, again, being soy, is going to contract and expand. So we wanted to, we're trying to make perfect pours in this temperature of the room that we're in, right? But if you go out into a market, right, and it's colder where it's going to be, that the wax is going to come in. So wet spots, while we can try to prevent them, they're not completely avoidable with soy wax. With soy wax, it's just not. These all look really, really good right now as far as that goes.
They were just poured. So.
Yeah, so they all look good, but over time they could fluctuate. We are pouring in clear to avoid concerns, because when we first start, we all think that the candle fails when they have those wet spots. But one thing that we do, we have a pretty, as you saw in our classics, we have a pretty good size label. It's a 2.5 by 3 inch label on there. And so if there's a wet spot that just won't go away, we can always just cover it up with that. But one thing we've sold, so we've crossed 2.1 million in total sales now in 4 years. One thing I've never seen ever, from doing markets to our wholesale customers when we're mailing out their products to them, and then just to the customers that come into our store, I've never had anyone pick up a candle, see a wet spot, put the candle back, and grab it. You know how when we're all shopping like for bread at the grocery store, we like pick up the one behind there because it hasn't been touched or it's perfect still. I've never seen a customer pick up a candle, it has a wet spot, they put it back down and grab the one behind it. In fact, and this is kind of getting way too deep here, but the sun can activate like vanillin inside your candles and will start to turn them yellow. If any of you have done like a market, you had some candles that kind of were sitting in the sun a little bit, they might start to turn color. This is going to happen in your things with vanillin. So coffee, blueberry,
there's a lot of things.
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah. A lot of the foodie things, right, have that. And they'll start to look really bad. And at first, I never wanted to sell those candles. But then I was like, let's just put these out, because we had sold out of that scent. So we're like, we don't have backup of it. So we just had them on the shelf. People were just buying those too. So I'm not saying don't worry about that, because that's a little bit more obvious when it's turning colors. But it doesn't change the performance of the candle. And we all have seen, you can go into the Yankee, you can go into the Bath and Body Works, and you're going to see some rough candles too. So we want to put out a really good product, but don't get in your own head. Don't let it prevent you from moving forward with your candle business. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. So before we're gonna center those yet,
yes.
or no?
So okay. I'm gonna go ahead and center these. Again, we're pouring with the soy wax, so it is a little cooler when we pour. So I'm not too worried about the wick popping off of the bottom. But we just use these little setters from Candlesites, Amazon, them anywhere. Just the little metal ones, and then we just eyeball it again. We're just eyeballing like we do with sticking the wick in, but you do want to pull it kind of tight so that it doesn't pop out. You can always fix it if the wick does fall out with the skewer and kind of moving it back. But yeah, we just do this real quick. If one pops off, you can kind of try to just reset it, but you might just have to pour it into another vessel. But yeah, super easy part. There are a ton of other options as far as centering the wick. Like he was saying, there's some that just sit on the top and you can just put it in that way. I've just always found this like super easy and inexpensive. So we have a ton of these. Yeah, we use those.
We have a ton of these old ones, but this is kind of like that white tool that we spent like $50 on that we don't use anymore. Because with this, the way it like levels down, depending on your vessel, it might not fit on there. So it's gonna like slide over. These are the cheapest ones available, and it's what we use. We've tried to find other things. There are some brands out there, some companies out there that have the wick centering things, which are fantastic, but they kind of get expensive, right? A dozen of them are like $3 a piece. And depending on when we start doing like 200 candles a day, whenever our wholesale is really picking up, we can't invest that in getting those specially made ones. And then because there's so many different vessels, right? Like we have these vessels, but then we just showed you all these other vessels that we use as well. So it would be just such a big investment. And then also the storage of it. Like we would have to have like totes out here for those. So we've just stuck to these now, or we've gone back to these. We always found other things. One other thing that we do use, if we're using a big vessel, is we will use these chip clips off of Amazon. They're small, they're not the big chip clips, but we'll use these for like the the wider, the things where those aren't long enough.
Yeah, like or if you don't want it to scratch it, because these are metal and they can scratch.
Like ceramic things.
So yeah, ceramic things and stuff like that. The ones that he had there, like we use these on the tins that we pour because they sit right on top of it, and we don't actually, with the tins, we cut the wicks in half-ish. So usually we're just trying to kind of use this as a guide to kind of set that wick, not necessarily pulling it tight or anything, because the tin and the sticker do tend to have issues actually staying fixed. So we'd try not to pull those wicks too hard. Just kind of let them sit in the little thing there. So yeah.
One of the things about centering the wicks that I had problems with, and some of you might be able to relate to this, is when I was first making candles, I'm down here and I am, use this as an example. So I poured into here, okay? And then I stick this centering on there. And then I think that it's good to go, right? And then it cures all the way, and then I'm done. And then I realize it's not centered. So oftentimes when I was done pouring, just like this, I'm looking left to right. Make sure that you look on top and look straight down, because often left to right, you might be centered, but front to back, you're not centered. And so then you have it too far this direction or that direction. But when you're looking at all of them, they look perfect, like from here, right? They all look perfect, but sometimes you get on time, like, oh wait, I gotta move that a little. So just keep that in mind. That was one of the tricks that you learn after you mess up a lot of candles, that you're like, oh shoot, look from the top when I'm centering the wicks. So just something to kind of keep in mind there. All right, so those are gonna cure. So obviously we're not gonna be able to do anything during this, because it'll take, for that size of 10 ounce, it's gonna take about an hour and a half before we might start to heat on it and things. These are more ready to go. Do you want to talk about the like sinkholes and things?
Yeah, so these are a couple of examples. So I don't know if it's going to actually come through. Let me see if I can get closer. Can't see.
There you go. Yeah, that's good.
Is that good?
Yeah, just go up.
So you can kind of see this one here has a sinkhole there. I'm sure once we heat it, there will be one in the middle too. But this one again is at the side. It is a bit cooler in the store today, so it's freezing outside. So this is to be expected. Again, it's also soy wax, so it's just part of the characteristic. We've learned a ton using 464, and it comes into play and helps us know what to do when we work with other waxes too. But
in our boot camp that we're going to start in a week, by the way, again, I mentioned that, and in our course, we teach off of 464 wax. Everything we teach is off of 464 because it always has the biggest problems, right? It's got the adhesion issues. It has the sinkhole issues, all of that. It's tough to get the scent throw from it. You learn how to fix all the problems, and then you decide to go down the avenue of, say, coconut soy, and then you're like, oh my gosh, life is so much easier than what I realized. But it's really good to learn the foundational elements of candle making off of probably the hardest wax. Because then once you understand how to make things work, you can do it with any kind of wax. So we talk about the other ones in the course and in our boot camp, but we work off of 464.
Yeah. So we want to go through, excuse me, and heat gun these just to make sure we don't have any sinkholes by the wicks. Like this one, you can kind of maybe see, but this one's pretty smooth on tap, but I'm sure that there's a sinkhole in there. But we want to make sure that we definitely check by the wick, because if you have a sinkhole by the wick, it's going to affect how it burns, because if there ends up being a hole by the wick, it's not going to have the fuel that it needs to stay lit. So it's super important to check those out. The ones at the sides, aren't a huge deal, but we also want it to look pretty decent. So we'll go through these and hopefully try not to blow out your eardrums with this thing, because it's right by the mic. We're gonna
turn the heat gun. So maybe turn your
so this might be a little loud, down. But we have a skewer, just a basic like kebab skewer. You can use the wooden ones, but we have the metal ones. And I'm gonna go ahead and just heat it a little bit, let the sinkholes come up, and then I will press this down in just to get it to go, the air to go all the way down, so we don't have repeated bubbles, hopefully. But that does happen. But I'll just do this real quick. Again, this is going to be loud, so we'll just do a couple. heat up a bit. We want to make sure we don't get too close to this. We don't want to be like way down in it. We want to keep a few inches distance so we're not getting it too hot. We'll just give this a nice little run around. If nothing else, we will fill in the sinkholes that were by the edge. But this one, there was a sinkhole by the wick, and now I see there's another one popping up. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a couple of pokes here. I wish we had an overhead camera so you could see it. But and then I'm just going to heat it again.
And you don't have to use the skewer. The only reason he's doing that is because if it's a real small little sinkhole and air keeps coming up, you're gonna have to do it several times. But like usually you don't have to even use a skewer on that. It's only if you just want to, because sometimes you're gonna do it, you're gonna heat gun it, and then it's gonna fill it in. All the melted wax is gonna go down in there, and you're still gonna have a divot. This is so that you don't. It'll be quicker in the long run if you see that that's happening.
Yeah. So we'll do the one that had a smooth top and see if there's any sinkholes. I can see some divots, so I'm sure there will be. But again, we just want to keep it a few inches away. We don't want to burn off the oil or catch the wick on fire or anything like that. So just keep a little distance and just kind of go around and around with it. You will, over time, just learn when you're going to see a sinkhole and when you're not. You'll see right away in some cases, but eventually you'll just learn it. So yeah, it looks pretty good. You see a tiny hole there, but we should be all right.
And you don't need to heat this more than like 1/8 of an inch, a tiny bit, right? Because you're not worried about sinkholes down here.
Right.
Anything that's below this, the surface, as the candle's burning, any melted wax would fill that in. Like you mentioned at the beginning, the only time that it's going to be the only time that sinkholes are going to be a concern at all is right when they first light it. If there's a sinkhole right around the wick, it doesn't matter if there's a sinkhole down here. Once the candle is burning down, it's going to fill all that in. It's only crucial right at the beginning, because if it's around that wick and it opens up, then like you said, there's not going to be enough fuel to keep that lit, and then you're going to have issues of it going out over and over again. So we're doing the heat gun to make sure there's no sinkholes right below that surface there, but then just to make it look good. We want it to look smooth, look kind of creamy on top. And so when you don't see any sinkholes, that's why we're going to go 1/8 of an inch, most on those there.
Yeah, and so I did trim the wicks. I kind of did it and didn't talk about it, but we usually trim them down just a bit so that when you're heat gunning it, the wick doesn't just fall over to the side and you get the wick wax on the side. It's a little harder to get off. So it just helps, one less cleaning step. And then once these set and they look good, we'll go through and trim it to about 1/4 of an inch so that it's ready to go when the customer gets it. And then we'll do our labeling and all that stuff. But
yeah. And I don't think we're not going to go through any of our labeling, now. I mean, that's straightforward. That's just a process of learning. Yeah. Labeling can be a pain, though. Labeling can be a pain just because depending on the labels you're using, right? And you're going to go through a few of them. When it comes to like labeling, we always like to buy the ones that are removable, not reusable, but removable, just in case. So they're not like stickers where if you stick it and it's not straight. All of ours, like we can literally, we can peel it all the way off and we can stick it back on there. Costs a little bit more, so much easier to work with, but also the material itself, it's a BOP material, BOPP, BOP material. And they're just really nice.
We do ours in sheets. They do them in rolls too, but sheets are way easier to store.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll throw one on here real quick so you can kind of see, like, if you like accidentally put it on crooked, it's nice and
nice and crooked.
You can just peel it right off with this adhesive, and then just do it, like recenter it right. So if you can get removable, definitely do it.
Yeah, costs a little bit more to do. But it helps so much because trying to scrape off, when you get a sticker wrong and then the adhesion's on there, also with bubbles, right now everything might be fine, but just like how the wax will contract and expand, so will the vinyl, your sticker. And so if you get a bubble in there, because even though these look like normal, just like that they would be smooth, a lot of these are not. And once you put a sticker on there, you end up getting a bubble after some time. So we can actually kind of peel it back a little bit to where that bubble air can kind of come out. We can push it back down get back on there. That's really straightforward on how we do it. We like to pour. The reason why he pours these in sixes is these are 10-ounce candles, and that's how many you can do in one of these larger pitchers at a time. Also, with we could probably do a few more in there, but we like to put these back if depending on your storage. Right now that we have the stores, it's a little easier. We have a little bit more space, but when we were doing this out at home, we store them right back in the boxes they came in, right? And they always came in boxes of 12. So we just get in the habit of pouring in batches of 6 for these. We have smaller, like 5-ounce tins, and we do those in 10 at a time because it'll hold that amount. Yeah. Oh, did we? Oh, okay.
We do them at 12 because it's the same calculation as pouring 6 of these. So now we pour those in batches of 12.
Okay, so I work in the other store whenever I work, where we're not producing the tins there. So we
just try to make it easier,
more efficient.
So yeah, more efficient.
Perfect. All right, so that is our rather simple process. Again, this is like a candle making 101. This is like a very high level bird's eye view. Hopefully, it's been helpful for some of you. If you want to go deep with it, I would love for you to go deep with us. You guys are the first ones to know we are doing a boot camp. It kicks off in a week from today. Again, if we give you all the lessons, and then you have like 3 or 4 days, and then we meet live to talk about it and answer any questions and go through that. But it's a lot more than just candle making. We give you labels. You can create your own labels off of the templates. We give you our calculators. We give you, what else is there?
Some recipes.
Our recipes, 6 or 8 of our recipes out there. He gives you his custom blends that he does, the labels, the warning stickers, like everything to get you started and going. Plus, you have us for life also, as far as like people still reach out and say, hey, I'm testing this, I'm testing that, and we review all that. But we look at your business side too, because we start off with the first module is all about what is your niche, what is your target audience? Because if you don't have that, then you are going to be one of a million candle makers, right? And you have to separate yourself from the rest. You got to know who your target audience and all that is. And we really help you with that. But also you can get, stuff through our YouTube channel as well, or come in, if you're already in the business side, come join us in the inner circle. It's a good group of people. There's a lot of you here tonight that are in the inner circle. It's amazing. So, it's always a good time. I see several of you from the inner circle here tonight. So, someone here. Oh yeah. 570 Soap Company boot camp is totally worth it. Yes. You guys are the first ones to know. We've not sent out any emails about the boot camp, but it's on the website right now. We always limit the space. So if you want a spot, feel free to hop in there. Hopefully this has been beneficial. I'm going to go in. If anyone has questions, I know you asked questions earlier, but they probably already got lost way up in the spot. So we'll spend about 10 minutes here going through some questions. If you have questions about candle making or business, as long as it pertains to like everything, not like what is the specific wick for this vessel, because that's not going to help too many people. But if you have questions, drop them in the chat. But start by all caps question, and then that'll help us to know exactly where there are some questions. And we'll spend 10 minutes here.
Yeah.
We'll spend some time here going through that. So let me just dive in here and see. Oh, hey, Dallas. Dallas said she's going to be coming back to the inner circle. Good. Dallas, we miss you. I hope you will be there very, very soon. In April. Yeah, April, you're a favorite. All right, let's talk about questions. What questions does anyone have here? I think there was one about, would you give your opinion on paraffin wax? We haven't worked with it just specific. I like a strong candle. Paraffin is great for a strong candle. But I would lean towards one of the blends. They got a little bit of paraffin in there. It's just paraffin has a stigma, and I'm not saying that stigma is justified, but I'm all about running a candle business and what people want. And when the customers come in and ask, what are your candles made out of? Being able to say coconut or being able to say soy or a soy blend, it's the way we market it. That's what they buy. So that's the only reason I wouldn't go towards paraffin. But paraffin, if you want a strong candle like that, that's the way to go. But I don't personally have anything against it. I'm just I want to sell candles. And, if you look at like Google search results in the keyword explorer, like soy candle is going to be millions of searches a month, where a paraffin candle isn't going to have nearly the results. And I'm trying to go after a bigger audience. And that's the only reason. Let's see what questions we have here. Question here is, do you think there is any benefit to starting with a minimal viable product line of 4 cents? 4 is totally fine. I said 6. That's what I'd recommend, going with a 6, just because we're covering all those bases. We're covering the citrus, the masculine woodsy. We are covering like the spa-like, and then we're covering a floral, and then there's a couple others there. So I would start with 6. But we have a brand new brand called Without that. I don't know if anyone has been following that. We finally got our vessels delivered. They've been sitting at the port, the customs port, it was like 6 weeks it took from getting there to us. We have that. We are launching that in like a week. We just had a big photo shoot done on it. We have to build a website. It's completely separate from this brand. And we started that with 5.
Yeah.
We started that with 5 cents. So starting with 4, it's totally fine. Here's the thing. If you can't find your customer in 4, how are we going to find it in 8, right? We're not finding a new customer based on our cents. We're finding a new customer based on the communication, our branding, our promotion, our marketing, our values, our mission, all of that. That's how you find your customer and what niche you're in, what niche that you're going to be in. And that's why inside the boot camp, we do an entire lesson. We have you submit homework to us so that we can help you to find what your niche and target audience is. So start with 4, absolutely, and then expand based on what people like. A question: where do you get your retail candle boxes from? We get those Alibaba. Those come from overseas. It's the only way we can get them. If you saw the boxes, the black ones there, we get those, and they end up being like 62 cents landed. You got to buy a few of them though. I think we had to buy 1,200 the first time. And then this last time we ended up buying 3,000 just because that product sells for us. So we just got an order in of 3,000 of those, and then 2,000 of the big, nice craft boxes. We bought those from one of our suppliers, but they stopped carrying them. And so we had to go, to our trusted box maker. But yeah, Alibaba, I would hop on there, negotiate that down. We talk about a lot of that in the inner circle. In case you're in there, I can tell you. Let's see here. Next question here. How many collections is optimum in your experience? And do you handle seasonal collections on Shopify? How many collections are optimum? It's really just based on where you're going with your brand. Don't put out collections just to put out collections. We are not 6. And to another, I say that now, but I really don't think we. Our fall and our winter, we have 4 cents for fall, 4 cents for winter. It's the exact same 4 cents we have now had for 3 years since the beginning. We've never changed it. The falls, all 4 of those cents, they do fantastic. And our winter, if you're in the inner circle, or if we've talked about this, in fact, if you watched my Black Friday, Cyber Monday video that is out here on YouTube, I talked about these 2 cents that just don't do great for us, but we're keeping them because we're trying to just keep our business easy right now. One of those did fantastic. We have a peppermint stick candle.
Yeah.
That we
never sells.
Never sell. Like the last 2 years, it did not sell well. We couldn't keep it in stock this season. Like where we're like calling the supplier saying, we will pay double to overnight this to us, like because we just kept getting so many orders with it. We do really well with our SEO and like online traffic that is built up. Your other question was about Shopify. Everything needs to be on Shopify. I don't want to feel like too salesy, but I have a Shopify workshop that is in 3 parts that shows you how to build a Shopify store. In the inner circle, that's probably that workshop is probably what we get a lot of, sorry, I'm pumping you, like the most feedback on, because people join the inner circle for what, $50 for a month or something, and they build out their entire website because I show you the whole back end of how to build that out. Shopify is the way I would go for any e-commerce website. And yeah, all of our products go out there and they live out there. Here's the super honest thing, is you don't just build a website and then you turn it on and then you're going to get a bunch of sales. It's going to take time. Google takes 14 to 28 days just to crawl your page, right? And then you have to be what people are looking for. And then there's a lot of things to do on your website as well. So there's actually a podcast video of like the 10 things your Shopify store needs here on YouTube. You can go to my podcast channel and go back like 7 or 8 episodes, and one talks about that. I have a free download that you can have as well. So lots of free stuff on the Candle Business Pro website too. Next question. How are you doing?
It's about blending.
Oh, this is all you.
It says, when blending fragrances, you always keep them separate and then measure them as you're making the candles, or make blends and treat as one fragrance. So we do a bit of both.
Now we do a bit of both.
Yeah. So yeah, originally we would keep everything separate in case we wanted to use an oil for something else. But now we have a couple of blends that are just specific, like we're not using those oils. So we blend everything. That way it's easier when we're actually producing. We can just pour one oil and be done. So we have the extra bottles at this point, or jugs, I should say, to be able to do the blending that way.
Yeah. So once you're confident you're going to sell that product, then feel free to go ahead and blend it. There's no like integrity of those oils or anything like that happens. We just, when we started a few years ago, we weren't, you don't know, right? And if you pre-blend it and then it doesn't sell, what are you going to do with that pre-blend? If you still keep them separate, then okay, well, it's okay that this mint isn't selling in that one candle. I can use mint in something else, and we have a lot of oils that it'll be like, hey, we got to come up with something. And it's like, oh, let's mix this and that now and see. And it's a good way of using up the oils that we thought might have sold in something, and we can put it in something else by keeping it separate.
Yeah, for sure. Is the next one. Tuato.
Tuato. Do you think the Tuato 30-pound digital melter is worth it? I don't like, so I do consulting work for Tuato. I actually helped them in development of a new melter. So I do want to put that out there. But there is a discount, probably in the show notes here. But if you put in CBP when you check out, which is for Candle Business Pro, you'll get an additional savings on their website. So I want to start with that. You don't have to use that code, but I'm just letting you know. In my experience with them on both sides, working with them on things, but also just as a customer, I would recommend getting an analog dial. I would not get a digital reading dial. Ours back here, this is what you're talking about, but this is an analog dial, not the digital. Highly recommend. Fantastic. I would recommend it. Yeah. The problem with any melter, okay, not just Tuato, but any melter that you use, is the heating element is on the bottom. So if you set it to say 190 degrees, when the bottom of that gets to 190 degrees, it's going to cut off, right? It's going to cut off heating it. But you've got this much wax. There's nothing heating the wax up here. So you've got to continuously stir at the beginning to get to that typical, to that temperature. The dial is never going to be right. But once you get that dial to where it needs to be, it's just on and off. We never adjust this anymore. Once we get this to where it needs to be, this stays the same. And so it's just a matter of turning it on and off. Like I told you, we have the smart switches for ours now. But really go with that. This is way too much. Like
this is amazing at temperature.
Yeah,
we set it to 2 degrees above what we want when we produce, and it's great. It's that way every time. No stirring. Like it is great. Yeah, but it's overkill. Like
it's all right. Yeah,
do not need. And it was insanely expensive.
Very expensive.
So yeah, do not need that. The one thing about the Tuatos is they are nice and insulated from top to bottom. So once you get that temp, like it stays pretty consistent. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with the smaller Tuatos like the green one and those. They're fine if you're if you need a small space, but they're not insulated. These here have like the locking lids on the top of them, which keeps it really nice. So just something to keep in mind. I know like Candle Science makes it. They also have small like melters, but like glass lids, like they're not on price there. Let's see what other. Let's see here. Linda, was it a question though? I don't think it was
really. It just jumped. There we go.
Oh, hey, Shomu. Happy holidays to you as well. I'm so glad that you're here. I Let's see. Oh, you are welcome, Daryl. You're here. Okay, we're going to go through a couple more questions here, and then we'll wrap up. Let me see what we've got here. Question. Question. How would you suggest to market a selection of candles for causes? An example would say, give donations to domestic violence. Okay, we actually do a partnership with a domestic violence survivor resource center here in town. The way that what I would recommend doing is that's going to be a local type of a local outreach type of situation. We do fundraisers. One of the things that we do a lot of, and it helps get our brand out there in the world, is doing fundraisers. You can partner with all kinds of things: animal shelters, nonprofit theaters, domestic violence survivor centers, homeless or the unhoused community shelters, all kinds of different things. We do lots of workshops inside the inner circle, or talking about it. We have a full fundraiser workshop inside of the inner circle. There's lots of ways of doing it. But I would reach out to them individually, all of these nonprofits, and say, hey, this is a candle. We would like to give X% back to you. Would you like to partner with us on doing a fundraiser? And what you need is nonprofit partners that are willing to promote the fundraiser. They'll all take your money. They'll all say, absolutely, we'd love for you to do a fundraiser for us. But some of them are going to have guidelines on actually like posting things on social media and like emails. And if you don't have an email list yet, it's not going to be beneficial for us to do a fundraiser for an organization that's not going to promote it themselves. For us, it was like, go to the Humane Society. Everyone loves pets. People are always giving to shelters or trying to. And by partnering with them, they have a massive email list, and they would send that email out to all of their email list, sending the traffic to our website. We get the sales, and then we were giving them 25 or 30%, however you set it up. Fundraisers are fantastic, and one of the ways that we kind of came up. And we are still doing fundraisers all the time for organizations. It really puts roots into your community and shows, oh, this is a brand that gives back. We lean really heavy into that. It's worked well for us. Let's see here. Question here. Could you give more info on how you do your production sheets? So they're just production sheets that we in the bootcamp and in our course, like you can download all these. Obviously, you can't download it off of YouTube here, but we talk about our batch sheets have like how many. It's a calculator, and it's how many vessels how many candles are you pouring? What's going to be the wax? What's going to be the fragrance percent and the wax percent? And then we save it as a different worksheet. So we have one file that has all of our recipes.
Yeah.
Right?
So we have. We use Google Sheets at this point just for ease across the stores and staff. But we do a Google Sheet that has the calculators in it for each fragrance so that we're not entering the split in the oil every time. So we have sheets, a sheet dedicated to that. And then we have a separate sheet for production where we put the production batch numbers, what we made in that run. And so we keep them all separate, but they're all in their own kind of worlds so that we don't mix anything up or accidentally change a recipe or something like that. So
perfect. Question here. At what point did you decide to open a store? Is it viable to grow a candle business solely online? Absolutely. So February 25th will be 4 years for us. Okay. So we sold our very first candle 4 years ago on February 25th. We had a fantastic first weekend because it was friends, family, all the people that kind of went on the journey with us of the 2 months of this nonstopness, right? And just so anyone knows, like I know we get stuck in our head of like testing, which is obviously very, very important. It's the most important part, right? But if you're doing the other stuff while you're doing your testing, you can get a candle business launched in less than 3 months. We did it. It's what we promote in our candle making course and in our boot camp. Like as long as you understand the ins and outs of your testing, you can get it launched quick. So we went November 19th, we got our LLC. We launched our business on February 25th. And then it's the middle of winter here in Michigan. So we couldn't do any markets yet. So we went right into wholesale. It was literally, right into wholesale. Mm-hmm. And we had our 4 or 5 shops that we wanted to get into really bad in this town. We went after those. Then we kind of spread out and covered the entire city. And then we go over to the next town, and the next town, the next town. You do it all online. Monday nights. We talk about this in the inner circle. Like Monday nights are my wholesale night. I can sit in front of the TV. I'm looking up all the shops I want to reach out to. So one week I create a list. The next week I reach out. So we did a wholesale. And now we've grown. We're 160 plus stores, give or take, that we're in now. We could not have the store, right? We could just do that. We love having our store because we need a space to make candles. So it's like we wanted to get the candles out of our house. So February 25th, we started selling candles. We started doing wholesale right away. In May like that first weekend, we did our tulip time, and we're in Holland, Michigan. It's known for tulips. We did the tulip time festival. And then in June, we saw a for rent sign on this building. And we had been doing markets every weekend. And we're like, okay, that is telling us that people like our product when they're seeing it, right? So that means we have something here. And so we went all in with it from that point, right? But doing markets, I highly recommend. You might not like doing markets, but it is so good to get that customer feedback. And we still have customers now that, in fact, he just posted on our Garson Beacon candle page like a throwback. And Kay, one of our original customers, commented and was like, I was one of your first customers. I'm like, those are the diehards. We have a candle subscription box. Again, we have a workshop inside the inner circle for it. And a lot of the members inside have started their subscription boxes, but that's a fantastic way of growing once you have some people underneath you. And you don't have to have a storefront to do that. You can do fundraisers, you can do wholesale, go heavy with wholesale, and then do subscription boxes. There's plenty of ways. Corporate gifting and private label is really what we're leaning into now, because we don't have to give the 50% off like we do with wholesale. And that's doing pretty well for us as well on that. So what else? Do you see anything here? We're going to wrap up here in the next couple of minutes because I am hungry. And there is a football game on that I want to go home and watch. Maybe. Let's see here. Direct to consumer versus wholesale. My point of view is start with direct to consumer to help establish the brand and hear the customer. But do you have a quick point of view on that? Just what I was just going through. Yeah. There's no wrong way of approaching it. But if you're going to go in with wholesale, go all in with it. But don't close your eyes to the other opportunities out there, because one of the key things about wholesale that has helped to grow our direct to consumer, right? Because they're buying our products in 160 locations in the country now. And we hope their second purchase is from us directly, not by going back to that store in reality, because then we make twice as much on there. How do you get into the inner circle? Oh, just go to candlebusinesspro.com and it'll be right across the top there. And I'll give you all the details on it. We meet every single Tuesday live. Every Tuesday we rotate from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. so we can accomplish different time zones or account for different time zones. So we have people from all across the world, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland. Shout out to Jackie. Well, she's Ireland and Canada. Hopefully she's here tonight. Yeah, it's a great group of people, right? We have an app to download. You can message us offline. It's just a good group of people. Every week, office hours, we have once a month, we have a big workshop. But if you get into the inner circle, you have access to all the previous workshops as well. So I'll actually send an email out after this with those links, but also with the boot camp, because you guys will have access in case you wanted to join the boot camp of getting in before we promote it to the rest of the public tomorrow. I think, yes, it is set up. It is on the website. We've got that done today. All right, let's see if there's any more questions.
There's some 2 auto, but size-wise for a newbie, 10 pounds.
The 10 pound is fine. The 10 pound is totally fine. Absolutely. What I was saying is I would go with the black stand-up one. Instead of the green one, I think it's 8 pounds. The next one is the 10 pound that stands up. Highly recommend that because it has a locking lid. It's insulated. That green one's not. So, but
it's a good melter. We have that in our other store because it's a small store. We don't have a ton of room. So we have that little melter that we use for coconut soy there. And it's cute for one, but it is a good melter for sure.
And in 10 pounds,
I mean, that's easy to move.
That's going to do, if you're doing like 8-ounce candles, like this size candle here. So this is a 7-ounce candle. And so it's like 6.5 ounces of wax. So you can make a lot. I mean, you're making 25 candles of this size in that 10 pounder. So just giving you like reference of how much you can make in there. And also, especially when we're starting out, like the bigger the melters take longer and more energy to warm up. So a small melter, totally fine, totally fine. And once you grow out of it, then do what we do. Oh, hey, now I need a bigger melter for my soy wax, but I can have this other one for my designer wax, as I call it, right? The coconut or something else you might want to try. So you'll always get use out of it.
Yeah.
Anything else here? Do you have any techniques to trim the wick? Hold it tight. Hold the wick tight when you're cutting it. Make sure it's completely solid up there. Hold it firm. If it's too loose, when you try to cut it, it's going to like move over.
Yeah, I always take so we have the actual wick trimmers, but I always take it down, kind of bump it on the wax and then come up just a little bit and then clip it. I do see that people do like the curly wick sometimes, but we want our customer to be able to like take the candle, go home and light it. We don't want to instruct them to like cut that curl off. Even as it looks cool, like we don't want them to like light that whole thing on fire because then it's going to burn hot and maybe dangerous. So we want it ready to go for the customer. So quarter of an inch to give you what you should cut it at.
Is this it? This is it. I think that is it. I thank you all for the feedback. Like the comments here are fantastic. So this was fun. I don't know when we're going to do this again, but this was fun. This will probably live out on YouTube for the next 24 hours, maybe 48 hours to give some people time to watch it. So if you want to go back and watch it, totally can. I would love for some of you guys to hear. I'm going to pop this in here actually. Let me see here. If you are thinking about, just before I just put the link in. If you guys want to go through the full boot camp with us, where we actually like give you all the stuff and we actually like spend a lot more time with you, I just dropped the link for the boot camp inside of the chat there. Obviously, many of you may be past that or don't need it, and there's plenty of free resources, especially out here on YouTube. But if you want to know our way of doing everything and you want to come work with us, come do that. But if you're already doing a business, come hang out with us in the inner circle. Trust me, for $49 or whatever it is right now. It hasn't gone up here yet. Nope, it's still $49 right now. And so you get access to all the other stuff, and you get a really cool community of a lot of other makers. Half of them are probably here tonight as well. So it's a good group of people. We have an app that we communicate through and stuff. So is there any other questions here? The one thing is, someone said, when I'm making candles at home, will the scents go all over the house? We use a little white fan that has 8-inch fan blades on it, and we put it in our window and have it blowing out of the house.
That's what we did. Yeah,
that's what we did.
Yeah.
So we've had this fan for over 4 years, and now we have them and we would put that in the window of our of the room that we were making candles in at home. The neighbors loved it. The whole neighborhood loved it.
The neighbors did.
They were just like, "Oh, you guys are making something great," or whatever. That's how we would get it out of the house. We also we sacrificed our bedroom. We moved into the smallest room in the house and made the bedroom the candle making studio, because it had just kind of gotten bigger and bigger. And it's nice to have a door to like block off your candle business from, because there at one point it was the kitchen, office, and then it was the whole dining room and going to the living room. We had to put out like 6-foot tables, and we all need a break, right? So we put it in the biggest room that we could close it off from. So awesome. I think that is it. Oh yeah, you can always wear a mask. Like if we're going into crazy production, we'll wear these as well. These are just some ventilator masks from Amazon. You can grab as well. All right, you all. This is it. Hopefully, we'll see some of you. Come join us inside of the Inner Circle or the boot camp. If not, hopefully you guys are all at least inside of the Candle Business Pro Facebook group. It's completely free, and we're in there pretty often.
Yeah.
So is there anything else? I think that's it.
We're good. Yeah.
You guys are awesome. So thank you so much for being here. Have a fantastic week. I know 70% of the country is under a snow winter weather advisory.
All the Midwest is.
All the Midwest. I know, like all the way down to like Atlanta, and Brittany and Daryl from the Inner Circle, they said that they had a snow, or they have some emergency, and it's like, you all are in Texas. Like, it's just crazy. So hopefully it warms up for all of us in the next especially for the dog. Our dog is going crazy at home
Yes.
without going on walks, but it's too cold for that, unfortunately. So thank you all so much. Have a fantastic night, and we'll do this again soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Right. Take care. Bye.